So today I'm sharing a client shoot with you. Nothing really special, it's just a senior session. It's out on location at her home because, she's a outdoors person, so she wanted outdoor shots. It's a fun shoot. I took the Sony instead of the Leica this time. There's one thing distinct between the Leica and the Sony. And don't get me wrong, I love the Sony camera. And the reason I took it is because I work with her mother. She's a stylist and a designer for clothing. And I know what she wants in photos, and usually it's a lot. Now, if I take the Leica and say I shoot 20 photos or deliver 20 photos for a client, I'll shoot, maybe 50 photos. Give me a 30 photo buffer, if you will. But I knew she'd want more photos than that to look through because, I shoot with her all the time and I'm doing her clothing and so forth. So she's used to that. So I said, I'm going to take the Sony and shoot a little bit more than usual. So I shot probably about 250 shots and I delivered 200 of them just for the previews and so forth. And then I let her pick, 20 to 30 to redo, retouch and so forth. That's, part of the package. And it gives them enough to pick the ones they want and to, maybe create a book or something like that, a keepsake for themselves, for the senior year photos. But the one thing I did notice is, Sony's great. I don't think I had a single image out of focus. I mean, zero, but they're digital. The lenses are so incredibly sharp and perfect. And the camera, it's the rendering of the camera is sharp. It's just, everything is so digital. Yeah. Now, when I opened up to 1.4, you get the blurry backgrounds, but that transition isn't there as much as it is on a Leica. And it's not because just the Leica lenses, because, usually I'm using Voigtlander more than I'm using the Leica lenses, but it's just the Leica seems less digital in the output than Sony does. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, I know a lot of people love that look. That's why everybody's pushing for the perfect lenses. But it's also funny that everybody that pushes for these perfect lenses and absolutely edge-to-edge sharpness goes and throws a black mist filter on it to make it look not so sharp. Anyway, but the camera did a great job. Colors were good. Everything was fine. But yeah, that's the only thing I really did notice is, there's more of a digital feel to these images. So I'm just going to show the shoot that we did outside. We came back to the studio the next day to do a shoot, but you see a ton of studio sessions on here. So I just wanted to share the outside session with you, with the one single strobe and walking around that much. I think I lost a little weight finally. I'm working on it. But let's get to the shoot, see how we do, and I'll talk to you soon. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thanks for watching as always. So this is a pretty straightforward senior shoot. And there's a couple things I want to go over that are really, really important. The first thing is don't overthink your shoots. I know I hear a lot of people say I'm frustrated. I'm shooting the same stuff over and over. It's boring. I don't have any artistic abilities left. And, these images all look the same. Let me tell you something. For the client, they don't. The client wants their child looking the way their child looks, natural and, their smile and their expressions. That's what you should concentrate on. Don't worry about the photos themselves as much as the child themselves, bringing out their natural selves. That's the biggest thing you should be working on. And don't stress about your artistic kind of stuff because the parents, unless they specifically say, I want artistic looks and you're not giving it to them, you don't have to worry about that. They just want their pictures done for their senior photos. I know it sounds kind of lame coming from me doing this for 40 years, but remember, I've been shooting seniors for 40 years. And there's a big difference in back in the day versus now. And I love it. I think it's fantastic. But, as you look at some of these photos, you would think as a photographer, okay, that's kind of boring. But as a client, they're looking at this going, each one of these little locations that we're shooting at around their house is something special to them. Each one specifically is a special area for their parents and for their kids. So these photos are special to start without even trying very hard. Now, of course, I want the best photos I could do, but the quality is just coming from the camera and from you pulling out that kid's expressions and personality. That's what you concentrate on during one of these shoots. Now, I'm just using the one light. This is the little 80-100. I'm shooting in bright sunlight. Now, it was probably around 4 o'clock. The sun started to go down, which helped with with the backlighting and so forth. But, obviously it's going to struggle sometimes. You'll see some highlights on some of the foliage and so forth get blown out a little bit. I'm not worried about that. I'm not looking for perfection. And when the mom and dad see these photos, they're not looking for perfection. They're just looking that their child looks fantastic. And that's what you have to concentrate on. The technical parts of photography, don't concentrate on them as much, because you'll get lost in that. Just, make sure their kid looks great. That's the important part. Anyway, getting back to the Sony and the sharpness, like these lenses are like ridiculously perfect anymore. There's no flaws. I know with, a lens that has issues, we like to call it character. It's just character versus a lens's flaws are the same thing. Whether you like to hear it or not. But, when you say it has character, it gives you the permission to keep it and say, I know it's not perfect, but it has character. Anyway, for Sony lenses like this 51.4, there's no character. It's just a perfect lens. I mean, edge to edge, it's spotless. And I do have to laugh because I know a lot of people will just go and, insist on the most perfect lenses and then immediately buy the filters to make it not so perfect afterwards. But then this lens, I'm just using a clear filter on my lens, and that's a protection filter. I use B&W. I just love them. I never have an issue with B&W. And they're worth the price to me. And the other part of this is this A2, it lasted the whole shoot. Without question, there was no problems with it. No overheating, anything like that. I am shooting in a high-speed sync, obviously, because of the sunlight. You can probably tell that. I'm going from 1.4 to 2.8, give or take, back and forth. I really don't pay attention to that much. Like this here, you can see in the plants. Yeah, it's a little blown out, but it doesn't matter to me because the photo's nice. What does it matter? If your eyes are going to the subject, nothing else really matters. And, I promise you, the parents are going to look at these photos and they're not going to say, I'm sorry, this bokeh just isn't up to our standards. I promise you, they won't say that. Now, listen, the whole family was there, which I thought was great. So I thought, let's get a family photo really quick. And none of them are dressed for it. None of them care. It's just that, and here's the thing, the comment after this family photo was like, that's our very first family photo done with professional. They've never had one before. So it's something special for them. And it was, it breaks up the shoot for the senior. It gives her a little break. And then we're just going right back into it. But it's fun. When you notice things like that, take advantage of it. Pull them over, take a shot. I did the same thing with her sister. I brought her and her sister together, did a quick shot that way. Break up the shoot a little bit, add some photos in there that they wouldn't expect or didn't expect. You're not going to charge them extra for a family photo, for God's sakes. Just do it out of the kindness of your heart. It means a lot to people. And, as they will be with you. I mean, the first thing that was said after this shoot was, are you going to be here in 4 years? It's so I can shoot their next daughter. Like, if I'm not dead, because I'm really old now, I'll definitely be here to shoot your daughter. Anyway, now we're going to get the dog involved. And, this kind of stuff, like, it gets kind of frustrating at times, but this dog was perfect. I mean, it sat down, it looked at the camera, I did the shot, I was done. It was like, and of course, Crazy Jen will jump in and help. But, if you have somebody there, have them get the dog's attention. But that kind of stuff, add that stuff in. Just have fun with it and shoot it. Always give more than they expect, and it'll come back to you tenfold. Because when somebody says, who did the photos or who do you recommend they're always going to recommend you because you did those little extra things. Thanks for watching as always. I hope you liked the shoot.